Hello, my dear students! Welcome to our virtual class in Practical Research 1. The following are the different most essential learning competencies and specific objectives that you have to achieve at the end of the lesson. Before we start our discussion on the different kinds of research across fields, let's have first a recap. On our last discussion, we discussed about the nature of research, its characteristics and processes, its importance in our daily lives, as well as the ethical considerations in research and the distinction between a qualitative research and a quantitative research. For this week's lesson, our discussion will focus on the different kinds of research, the importance of qualitative research in our daily lives, the kinds, characteristics, and even the strengths and weaknesses of a qualitative research. You will also be taught about the importance of qualitative research across different fields. Let's study the different kinds of research based on certain categories. If research will be categorized based on the application of research method, it could either be a basic or pure research or applied research. If you can still recall last week, we already discussed these two types of research. When we say basic or pure research, it is by a scientist's curiosity or interest in a scientific question. The main motivation is to extend man's knowledge and not to create or invent things. But when we say applied research, it is designed to solve practical problems of the modern world rather than to acquire knowledge for knowledge's sake. Its main goal is to improve human condition and is used to find solutions to everyday problems, current illnesses, and develop technologies. If we're going to categorize research based on its purpose, it can either be a descriptive research, correlational research, exploratory research, explanatory research, or action research. When we say descriptive research, it refers to the research that provides an accurate portrayal of a class or a particular individual, situation, or group. It is also known as statistical research. This is liable to repeated research because its topic relates itself only to a certain period or a limited number of years. You develop the inclination of conducting further studies on such topic. It deals with everything that can be counted and measured, which has an impact on people or communities. When we say correlational research, it refers to the systematic investigation or statistical study of relationship among two or more variables, without necessarily determining cause and effect. It shows relationships or connectedness of two factors, circumstances, or agents called variables that affect the research. It is only concerned in indicating the existence of a relationship and not the causes and ways of the development of such relationship. When we say exploratory research, it is a type conducted for a problem that has not been clearly defined. It helps determine the best research design, data collection method, and selection of subjects. It is to find out how reasonable or possible it is to conduct a research study on a certain topic. In here, you will discover ideas on topics that could trigger your interest in conducting research studies. When we say explanatory research, this type of research elaborates or explains not just the reasons behind the relationship of two factors, but also the ways by which such relationship exists. Lastly, when we say action research, this type of research studies an ongoing practice of a school, organization, community, or institution for the purpose of obtaining results that will bring improvements in the system. It involves application of the steps of the scientific method in the classroom problems. This type of research is done in a very limited scope. Moreover, if we're going to categorize research based on the types of data needed, it can either be a qualitative research or a quantitative research. If you can still remember last week, we already discussed the distinction between these two types of research. When we say qualitative research, it requires non-numerical data which means that the research uses words rather than numbers to express the results, the inquiry or investigation about people's thoughts, beliefs, feelings, views, and lifestyles regarding the object of the study. On the other hand, when we say quantitative research, it involves measurement of data. Thus, it presents research findings referring to the number or frequency of something in numerical forms, just like the use of percentages, fractions, numbers, and others. There are other types of research that you have to learn, which are ethnographic research, experimental research, and phenomenological research. When we say ethnographic research, it refers to an investigation of a culture through an in-depth study of the members of the culture. It involves the systematic collection, description, and analysis of data for development of theories of cultural behavior. It studies people ethnic groups in their settings. This kind of research attempts to understand what is happening naturally in the setting and to interpret the data gathered so implications could be formed from those data. When we say experimental research, it is an objective, systematic, controlled investigation for the purpose of predicting and controlling phenomena and examining probability and causality among selected variables. It establishes cause-effect relationship. It studies the effect of the variable to each other. Lastly, when we say phenomenological research, its aim is to describe an experience as it is actually lived by the person. It is concerned with the study of experience from the perspective of the individual. The researcher in this type of research aims to attempt to understand one or more individuals' experiences of a phenomenon. This type of research is powerful for understanding subjective experience, gaining insights into people's motivation and actions. Since our subject is focused on qualitative research, we have to be aware of its importance in our daily lives. Conducting qualitative research is as significant as the basic necessities of human existence. It paves way for us to understand the current issues and natural phenomena that greatly contribute to our lives. As a researcher, it is a must to develop awareness on the importance of qualitative research in everyday life. If you're going to conduct a qualitative research, you have to remember its context, input, process, and product. In a qualitative research, its main context is focusing on human phenomena, in which you will understand that this existence is naturally occurring, with local groundedness, richness, and holism. When we're talking about input, your subject or participants will focus on their own experiences and the experiences of others, wherein what you're going to process are the words or verbal languages. At the end of the qualitative research, what is expected as your product is a better understanding of human experiences. Qualitative research is essentially a descriptive analysis and follows the inductive process of reasoning, that is, from the specific situations to arriving at a generalization of what has caused such behavior. Therefore, we have to be aware of the different kinds, characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses of a qualitative research. The following are the different types of qualitative research. The first one is a case study. It takes place in the field of social care, nursing, psychology, rehabilitation centers, education, and others. This involves a long-time study of a person, group, organization, or situation, which seeks to find answers to why such a thing occurs to the subject. It refers to an in-depth, detailed study of an individual or a small group of individuals. Such studies are typically qualitative in nature, resulting in a narrative description of behavior or experience. Case studies to describe a person, thing, or any creature on earth for the purpose of explaining the reasons behind the nature of its existence. The second one is ethnography. It focuses on the field of anthropology, which is the study of a particular group to get a clear understanding of its organizational setup, internal operation, and lifestyle. Ethnography is a special kind of case study, for it includes the participation of the researcher in the activities of the group that he is studying about. It is the recording and analysis of a culture or society, usually based on participant observation and resulting in a written account of people, place, or institution. The third one is phenomenology. It is from the word phenomenon, which means something known through sensory experience. It refers to the study of how people find their experiences meaningful. When we say phenomenology, it is all about something that is experienced on earth as a person. It is a philosophy of experience. For phenomenology, the ultimate source of all meaning and value is the lived experience of human beings. The fourth one is content and discourse analysis. Content analysis is a method of qualitative research that requires an analysis or examination of the substance or content of the mode of communication, such as letters, books, journals, photos, video recordings, SMS, online messages, organization, or any institution in communicating. It calls for systematic examination of forms of communication to document patterns objectively. The fifth one is historical analysis. It is the examination of primary documents to make you understand the connection of past events to the present time. The results of a content analysis will help you specify phenomenological changes in unchanged aspects of society through the years. It is the process of learning and understanding the background and growth of a chosen field of study or profession that can offer insight into organizational culture, current trends, and future possibilities. The historical method of research applies to all fields of study because it encompasses their origins, growth, theories, personalities, crises, and others. The last one is the grounded theory. It takes place when you discover a new theory to underlie your study at the time of data collection and analysis. Through your observation on your subjects, you will happen to find a theory that applies to your current study. Interview, observation, and documentary analysis are the data gathering techniques for this type of qualitative research. Grounded theory is the generation of theories from data. It is simply the discovery of emerging patterns in data. It is a general research method which can be used in both quantitative and qualitative research. Qualitative research can be easily characterized by carefully observing how some research elements, such as research design, data collection procedure, and data analysis, have been put into considerations. As cited from Spalding University Library of 2020, these three key elements will guide the researcher to properly conduct a qualitative research study. To further understand this kind of research, its characteristics are presented as follows. First, qualitative research is naturalistic. A study to be conducted by the researcher should be based on real-life situations. Likewise, the researcher should unfold the study in a natural manner. That is, the findings are derived from the analysis of authentic data gathered from the participants. Such a concept makes qualitative research known for its non-controlling characteristic. Next, qualitative research is purposeful. In conducting a qualitative type of study, the researcher should select the participants in a purposive manner. That is, they will be selected because they either have easy access to the information needed or simply have the knowledge to provide a great deal of information needed to the study. Hence, these participants are called information-rich in the context of research. This type of participant selection will validate the concept that qualitative study focuses on rich insights regarding the phenomenon rather than on mere numerical data simply obtained from surveys and questionnaires. Next is, qualitative research is detailed. A thick description of data gathered from the participants make this type of study a detailed one. It is important that the researcher should capture the direct quotations of the responses of the participants from the conducted interview or observation. Fourth, Qualitative research requires engagement and neutrality. Direct contact with the people, situation, and phenomenon under investigation should be established by the researcher. Immersing oneself would enable the researcher to acquire better personal experiences and insights, which are essential to better understand the phenomenon. Furthermore, the researcher should also be neutral in the responses and observations he or she may get while engaging with the participants. The researcher should likewise show openness, sensitivity, and respect. Next, qualitative research follows an inductive procedure. As a researcher immerses himself or herself in the phenomenon under investigation, specific details and data will be gathered from the target participants. This data can be used to discover emerging patterns and themes. Following an inductive procedure, the researcher will start from exploring the phenomenon and will end to confirming findings of the works. Sixth, qualitative research is viewed in a holistic perspective. A study in a qualitative type cannot be simply done in a linear and cause and effect relationship approach. Rather, it requires the researcher to view the whole phenomenon under investigation in a complex system. That is, different variables can either cause or affect the phenomenon. Many researchers become more interested in qualitative research because of its nature and perceived strength. Basically, the strength of qualitative research is its capacity to give rich information about the respondents, may it be humans or animals. As cited by the University of Denmark Library of 2020, this type of research has its strengths and weaknesses presented as follows. What are the strengths of a qualitative research? First, qualitative research complements quantitative data. Interview and observations are the common instruments used in the conduct of a qualitative study. Such instruments can provide qualitative data that can be utilized as a support for any quantitative data appearing in a study. Hence, a more reliable result will be ensured. Next is, qualitative research provides more detailed information to explain complex issues. Since this type of research study requires the researcher to immerse himself or herself in the phenomenon under investigation, direct experiences can be acquired. Similarly, considering information-rich participants, as well as utilizing interview and observation as qualitative research instruments, may enable the researcher to gather more accurate data needed in explaining a complex phenomenon. Third, qualitative research is cost-efficient. Small number of participants is usually considered in qualitative research. Hence, less resources will be needed to accomplish the study. Likewise, interview schedule and observation checklists as qualitative research tools demand the researcher to spend less resources like questionnaires as a primary tool utilized in quantitative research. If a qualitative research has its strengths, it also has its weaknesses. First, qualitative research cannot generalize the findings to the study population. The use of a small number of participants in qualitative research may result in limited responses. Thus, findings of the study might not be possibly generalized to a larger population. Replication of the study is often suggested. Next, qualitative research is more difficult to analyze. Unlike quantitative research, which deals with numerical data and can be interpreted through statistical formula, qualitative research presents non-numerical data, which are all based on the subjective responses of the participants. If data are not critically analyzed and carefully interpreted, results may become biased and even less credible. Lastly, quantitative research is time-consuming. Though qualitative research utilizes a small number of participants, this, however, demands the researcher to spend more time in dealing and engaging with them. Similarly, the analysis and interpretation phase of the study also requires the researcher to take more time in observing emerging patterns and themes derived from the participants' provided data. Research in general is very vital in our society as well as in our daily lives. It can improve the quality of life, provide enhancements and advancements in technology, work, and communication. There is no development without research. Qualitative research can probe into the human experiences, views, cultural practices, and others. Qualitative research is known for providing meaning to understand an existing phenomenon. The following are the different reasons on why we should perform qualitative research. There are times when qualitative approach is a better fit for the research needs and questions. The first reason why we should perform a qualitative study is exploration. When something is not well defined, qualitative methods are helpful. For example, you can explore in a qualitative study the problems customers encounter, the needs users have and cannot articulate, or misunderstandings customers have in finding information or using a product. The next is complexity. When complicated problems can be quantified, when you need to describe the complexity, qualitative research can distill the complexity into more manageable parts. That is, it's all about how users interact with the product or accomplish goals. The third reason is context. Some of the richest qualitative data is not collected in a contrived lab. It comes from observing and collecting data in person. For example, understanding the context and environment users provides for better product direction. For example, you could identify what are the products, places, people, and challenges customers deal with when accomplishing their goals. The next one is explanation. When you need to explain linkages or mechanisms that cause things, a qualitative method can be fruitful. For example, if you want to know why people aren't paying their bills via mobile app or calling customer support because of an error, hearing customers' own words help from theories and establish a testable hypothesis. Lastly, the reason why you have to do qualitative research is some methods do not fit well. Qualitative data helps uncover the right things to measure. While there are good ways of measuring usability, many interactions can be hard to quantify. Observing users as they struggle to accomplish a goal and probing on the source of the problems help define what ultimately needs to be measured. Upon knowing all these things, what have been the importance of qualitative research across different fields? In the field of education, it addresses the how and why research questions and enables deeper understanding of experiences, phenomena, and context. To better understand research in education, Green and Bloom of 1997 gave distinction between ethnography of education and ethnography in education. When we say ethnography of education, it seeks to understand what counts as education for members of a particular group, while ethnography in education studies about social and cultural dynamics of a school or classroom. In the field of technical communication, qualitative research can also be used in studying the effective use of technology in the workplace to ensure smooth flow of communication. This can be conducted using focus groups. Technical communications under study can be in the forms of email, fax messaging, video and voice conferencing, intranet and extranet, jargons and graphics. The advancement in technical communication is a product of exploration using qualitative research. In the field of psychology, understanding the psychological processes and how they affect the society is the contribution of qualitative research. Psychology has been strongly shaped by the behavioral and cognitive traditions within which psychology should seek to understand and determine an observable, objective psychological reality. An example of this is, psychologists seek to understand why some students lack motivation to go to school and why some students resort to bullying and the like. In the field of advertising, understanding the connection between advertising and consumers' preferences can be explained through qualitative research. Morrison and others say that great advertising comes along from an understanding of consumers' wants and needs. Further, they say that qualitative research approaches or methods useful in advertising have been used by advertising researchers. In the field of social work, conducting research under social work means studying about people's experiences, especially when they found traumatic and painful. This can be done by analyzing interview data and narratives, which has four broad categories. The first one is knowledge. It is all about direct remembering and reliving with complete details of the events. Next is the awareness of mental processes. It tells about the awareness of emotions and of cognitive processes. Next is the awareness of identity. It talks about the awareness of values and the construction of personal characteristics of each partner and of the couple as a unit. Lastly is alienation. It talks about refusal to observe, reflect, or remember. Qualitative research is also important in the field of marketing. Historically, qualitative research in marketing is influenced by social research and has embedded projective devices within the approach of in-depth interview. The more modern qualitative marketing studies use the grounded theory approach. Thus, by thorough investigation through research, marketing strategies are improved for better return of investment. And lastly, qualitative research also played a big role in the international business. Business establishments use methods like participant observation, content analysis, focus groups, narrative interviews, and hidden methods such as archival research, according to Marchand, Peccari, and Welch of 2004. In this manner, business establishments are also able to collect reliable information and come to a decision of improving their ways and processes. That's all about our lesson for this week in Practical Research 1. Thank you for watching and see you again next week.